All right, guys, we are back on the YZ250 build. I'm so excited to be moving forward. Also, new news on that. We got the crank back from Crankworks too, so that will be coming soon. Here, I'll give you a quick sneak peek of how sexy that crankshaft looks. So, yeah, pretty awesome. But this video, you already know what it's about. We are valving the suspension on this YZ. Super excited about this, mainly because it is... it was originally valved a long time ago by TBT, by Travis, for a different person. And this suspension was on a bike when I got the bike. And so this suspension was on a YZ when I got it. I didn't know Travis at all, hadn't met him or anything. Ended up going to a desert race in California and met Travis at that race, told him I had his suspension. He pitted for me. I ended up winning the race. It was the 40B class at that point. I won the thing. I was so stoked. The suspension worked great. That began our relationship, which has eventually led to me being a TBT shop. So, yeah, let's dig into it. Let's get these forks apart, get the shock apart. Let's valve them and show you what we're doing. All right, guys. So as we take this thing apart, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here. First of all, I'm not doing a fork seal video, so I'm not going to show you all the fork seal replacement part. But I will tell you that massive thank you to SKF and Intech for sending us parts for this build. Huge thank you to them. We're using their dual compound fork seals and their new version of their bushings. Their old version of the bushings, honestly, they sucked. They didn't fit very good. I quit using them long ago, and I refused to use them. And actually, when I was contacted about these bushings, I resisted pretty heavily because I did not want... I mean, the other ones just, they sucked. I seriously had so many problems with them, so I was really resistant. But they just said, oh, come on, just try them. And I figured for you guys, I'll try them. And sure enough, I've been really happy. So I do like the new bushings. We are valving these things. Like I said before, these things were set up for actually Flint Cody, brother of Quinn Cody and Anna Cody. Fast guy, but a big guy and a desert racer, and a fast desert racer. So quick plug, clicker koozie available at highland-cycles.com in our parts area. These things are awesome. Go like that. Flip this thing upside down. So this valving is a little stiff for, especially for like a 150-pound kid like my kid is, and then also for enduro, like off-road, rocky stuff. He'll be doing some desert races too, and it'll still work for that, but we're going to have a little more plush on the initial part of the stroke. So. And we're putting new springs in it because, again, I'm pretty sure these springs are still for like a 250-pound man. And I raced on them. I've never been 250 pounds. And like I said, the suspension was so good, even though it was sprung for way too heavy. So get that out of the way. All right, guys, I'm going to just do the fork seal job, get this set out of the way, and then we'll get to the valving. As with all things fork related, I don't pinch on anything too tight. Just kind of be careful. Snug it down so it can't, move anywhere. But we're going to rely on our fork cap wrench to hold this while we take the inner cartridge out. All right, guys, we're going to start with the mid valve. So I'm going to take this apart. I'm not going to show you all the exact taking it apart, but I'm going to lay out the shims out here so we can take a look and see what we're doing. All right, guys, there is our mid valve. This is the rebound side. That is the compression side, or mid-speed valve side. That's one thing a lot of people don't talk about is when you're clicking on your rebound on your fork or shock, it actually, well, more of the fork, but even the shock actually. So when you're clicking on the rebound of a fork or shock, you're actually affecting the compression too, because the bypass, which is here, you see that little hole right there is the bypass that goes through here and out here, or in here and out there. It's affected. It affects both the moving of the wheel up and the wheel down. So it has more to do with the rebound, but it is for both. So there is our rebound stack now. Now let's go get into our shims over there, and we will put the new stack here. All right, guys. So check it out. You can see a huge difference. Obviously, like this would go here. I didn't line it up perfectly, but you can see a big difference in the mid-speed valve. Much stiffer over here because we've got all these face shims. It's interesting. We got one like a little bit smaller that would have left open just a tiny bit of the port and kind of held these main face shims off. That's something we do at different times to give a little bit more flow, but then he's got heavy valving on the face to hold that thing up, and then kind of a normal setup, the rest of it. And this is all we got down here. So this thing is going to move quite a bit. Again, we're dealing with a 150-pound kit. I think he's actually lighter than that, but we're valving it for that because he is going to grow. So yeah, way different stack for the mid-speed valve. Then over here on our rebound, it's actually pretty close to the same. It's not way different. A little bit different as we ramp up here for the second stage of the valving, but not super different. So yeah, pretty excited about that because this thing is going to move really well in the mid speed in that initial stroke. It's gonna be really good for the rocks. All right, I'm gonna put this thing back together, and then we'll pull the compression valve apart. Oh, and someone's gonna mention that I'm using the used shim and the used shim. Anyway, yes, I'm using used shims on my kid's bike. There's nothing wrong with those shims. They're gonna be just fine. On customers' bikes, I try to use all new shims, unless I'm running out and I got to use one somewhere weird, because they do bend and deflect and do kind of weird stuff, and they maybe not perfect. But that shim's fine, and it's my kid, and yes, I do love him, and I don't want him to crash, but that's not going to happen. So anyway, let's get this thing together. Guys, when I do that, you saw me blowing that out and making sure there's no thread locker down in there. And then I always take the adjuster rod and just make sure everything is bouncy and moves like it's supposed to. Set that out of the way. Take these shims. I'll measure those and put those away after a bit. All right, guys, there is our compression valve. Woohoo! I'm going to go grab the other part. Oh, and by the way, we leave the low speed valve open. You can see I've got a shim there. It's going to fall off if I'm not careful, to help hold that open. So you can see, there we go. It's not closed up all the way. We generally leave that open. All right, guys, check it out. Super different stack again. So this is the original stack. You see the face shims go deep before the crossover. So that means a lot of hold up. This thing's gonna be really stiff. And then we have the brake that allows that, the crossover allows these to fly. Anyway, I'm not going deep into theory, but trust me when I say that this is gonna be really stiff. And then whatever. And then this is quite a bit less stiff, but it's also a bigger crossover shim, so Anyway, this is going to be sweet. I can't wait to get this get my kid onto this bike. I can't even talk. Especially with the hitless system and everything else we're doing, this thing should be rad. You guys might be wondering why I am not using Stuck Nuts thread locker. It is honestly because I have found that their thread locker, and this is not a cut on them at all, but it does not hold up great in oil. And that's because it's just not formulated for that. Like, there's different thread lockers are made for different things. And the Stuck Nuts red is not great in oil. It tends to kind of come loose. So I don't run that. But I do run, I still don't run the Enemies thread locker. I run the Worth red. Again, it's a different, it's not apples to apples. They're different. So anyway, the Worth stuff is great. Stuck Nuts is great as long as it's not in oil. So, all right, there we go. One fork valve. I'm going to slap it all back together. Do the other one. I'm not going to film me doing the other one. Also, massive shout out to Q Springs. Again, Intech got us hooked up with those guys. I really, really like Q Springs. The consistency is one of the best I've ever seen in the spring industry. The spring industry is an interesting one. There's not a lot of consistency there, but the Q Springs are very consistent, very good. They don't sack out. They're just amazing springs. So Q Springs in there. Now, next thing up is the shock. All right, guys, we got the shock up here. This thing is gross and disgusting, as most shocks tend to be when they come to the shop. This one's also, the bearings are all junk. The top one's not a lot better than that one. Obviously, all that's getting replaced. This is all going to be fresh and brand new. Massive shout out to Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Big, huge sponsor of the channel. Also, big sponsor of this build. They have given me a ton of parts for free. Normally, I get all the Tusk and Rocky Mountain branded stuff and MSR branded stuff for free anyway as an affiliate, and I very much appreciate it. But when it comes to OEM or stuff that's not their brand, I usually have to pay for it. They give me a discount, which is awesome. But because this is a big build, it's getting a lot of views on the YouTubes, they have provided me with a ton of parts. So all the bushings and stuff like that. So really, or all the bearings and stuff like that. So really, really appreciative of that. Guys, make sure you use the link in the description if you want to buy anything from Rocky Mountain, but also, more importantly, shop local first. If you have a shop in your town and you like them and you want to support them, go buy stuff from them. You might pay a little bit more, you might have to wait a little bit longer, but that is what keeps people like that open and what keeps this sport rocking and rolling. So anyway, let's take this thing apart. It's disgusting. I'm going to get it apart. I'm probably not going to show you the details inside and out of that, but I'll get it apart, get it all emptied of its oil, and then I'm going to put it in ultrasonic and really super clean this thing. All right, I got the shaft all out of the ultrasonic and clean. The body's still in there. So now we're going to take this sucker apart. Guys, this is an SKF seal head, and normally I really don't like to use these because you can't replace just the seal in them. But SKF was nice enough to send me a whole new one, and this came out of it. I'm surprised. I was not going to use the seal head. I was just going to replace the seal inside the head like normal. But SKF sent me one of these, and then when I took it apart, there was that in there. I'm not used to seeing that. So we're going to clean this up really good. Put a little cross hatch in that. There we go. Now, I'm going to get the new shims out. All right, guys, we got the two stacks all here. So this top one is the original stack, which is not the original stack from Yamaha, but the stack that was in it before, and this is the bottom. So this top is rebound, and this is rebound. Not a huge difference. You got an extra shim or two here on the face for the rebound. Crossover shim's about the same. The rest of it's about the same. It's a little bit different, but compression is pretty different. So first of all, these are just a stack to take up space. Again, they go against the plate here, the base plate, and really none of this matters until you get to this small one. So this is just to take up space to make the stack the right height. Again, that is part of why we don't sell shim stacks, is because it takes knowing that you need a certain amount of like height, and a lot of that comes with after you put it all together. Then you got to figure out what the height needs to be. So that's why I don't. That's one of the reasons we don't sell shim stacks. So anyway, that's why that one's jacked up. That was just a spacer. So anyway, but this is the stack. So we can see there, crossover shim is pretty big. Crossover shim is a lot smaller there. You see the face shims, there's more of them, but they're different thickness. So this thing's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to put it on the bike. All right, guys, so I stacked a few more in there. You can see we've got focus just a little bit of that collar sticking up to keep these from wanting to move side to side. Then we have our big plate. That raises it right up there, so it's nothing but threads. So we're good to go. Wow, there she all is. We got everything done. Shock valved new spring, forks valved new springs, all new bushings, all new everything. These things are super, super fresh. I cannot wait to get this bike back together now. As you can see, I mentioned before, bearing junk, other bearing junk. Still a ton to do on the bike, guys. So if you're new here, if you joined us because you wanted to watch the suspension revalving and you heard YZ250 or whatever, make sure you check out the rest of the build series. We are taking the frames of 2013 YZ250, the suspension's from an 06, the motor, well, I got cases from I don't know when, brand new crank. Anyway, it's a crazy build. It's going to be what I'm calling the ultimate enduro build. Not the ultimate hard enduro build, because we all know it needs electric start for that, because the last thing I ever want to do is race a hard enduro without electric start. So this is more of an enduro slash hare scramble slash desert racing bike. I cannot wait to get the thing dialed in. My kid, who's 15 and is getting to be really, really fast, is going to be riding this thing and testing it for us and talking all about it. So yeah, guys, join us for this series. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the little notification bell, use the links in the description for all the people down there. They are all very supportive. I vet all of these companies who support me very, very, very well. The last thing I'm going to do is promote a company that sucks, because that reflects on me, which then angers you guys. Anyway, it doesn't make sense. Also, again, if you're new here, I have an actual motorcycle shop, not just a YouTube channel. We actually do this for a living. We fix things, we make things better for a living. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, massive thanks to Intech USA, SKF, and Q Springs specifically for this video. They helped out a ton. We'll see you guys in the next one.